started talking about how to build, essentially develop big-time leaders, superstar leaders, people who can, I don't think anybody wants to go through your training center and come out as average, ordinary, whatever. You want to, people who can do something special. They're ready to go. You're looking at people who can be, let's just talk about what we want there. And talking with me today on this subject is somebody right in the middle of this is Joe Tansey from New Jersey, just surviving from the big superstorm Sandy up there. So, Joe, welcome aboard again.
Thank you for having me, Larry. I'm excited.
And let's see if we can talk about this. Now, why is this a big deal for you? We're talking about, like, standards to have. You put people through a training program. Why is this a big thing?
Well, it's a big thing because in order for us to really explode at the level we want to explode, we want to have a business model that is just predictable at just producing new people, new superstars. That way, as you said the last time, I could have a business that explodes all the time, not just one time.
Yeah. I think you said that very, very well. A business model that is predictable.
Yes.
And producing independent leaders or leaders you can count on, or what were you saying there?
Independent leaders.
Yeah. People that you don't have to worry about. Once they go out the door, they're going to do big things. They know what to do. And you can turn your attention to the next batch. In other words, that's the idea?
Yes, exactly.
You're not too far from Rutgers. You don't want to be at Rutgers having a graduating class, and every time you have a graduating class, instead of going out into the job market, they come back and they say, well, it didn't work. You guys got to get a job. Can we work in the cafeteria part-time until we get a job? No. The students we have now are working in the cafeteria. You got to be ready to go. And so the question is, does this become a big problem because you have to survive? Like you're operating here. Let's just say this. You're here today, and you're dealing with down the road, at some point, you're training these people. You want them to, at some point, you want to have a graduation. You don't want to keep these. You don't want to keep these people with you forever, because until you develop them, you can't get anybody else, right? You'd like them to turn into great successes, but hey, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. They get run over by a truck and you've got 14 years of 24 hours a day developing in them, and you're doomed. So you've got to have multiple things, but you're dealing with normal, 100? Is it 1,000 or 10,000, or is it 100,000 details you got to deal with every day? And, we're in financial services. It's just lots of details. And then you have the superstorms hit you.
That's right.
Then you have the end of the month. You got to hit your end of the month numbers, because if you don't, you're in a slump. And so what we want to happen to us is we want to have it to where we're green, we grow. We start here. We've got a little peckerhead we're training in the business, and they go up and down. But finally, they get up and they start doing great things. Yahoo! They go to the top. But in the process, and then they can graduate. But if this is vague, you're in trouble. This has got to be specific, because as you go through all of these things you're dealing with, you've got the normal day-to-day type things, but you've got outside of events happening, hurricanes, tornadoes, storms. You've got, in their life, they have disruptions. In the business, you have disruptions. So there's all kind of things that cause you, if you get diverted, it's very easy, all of a sudden now you're in a slump. Now, your business may be going, but their business could be in the dumper. This is not how they're going to be ready to graduate, right? So the deal is, how can the more specific you are about where you want them to reach, what you're shooting for with them, the easier it is for them to lock in and stay focused, don't you think?
Yeah, and that's a key right there.
And, because people, do you hear the thing, and have you wondered, like, how can I stay focused? How do I stay focused? Is that something you hear all the time?
Yeah, that's a common phrase. How do I stay focused? What's my next step? What should I be focusing on?
Where do you think that comes from?
Them not being very specific on the task at hand. They're very, they don't have a specific set goal.
Yeah, if they're not focused and they can't stay focused, that's probably the way we look at it since we run the training center, everything is our fault. And so if they're not focused, they can't stay focused, it's because we haven't made the target crystal clear. And so the clearer we can be about their target, like this is it. We're not talking, it's not over here. It's not over here. It's not over here. No, it's here. Let's go. Bullseye. That's where you want to be, Chucky. When you get here, that's why they give tests. Like if you want to be an architect, you got to take a licensing test. If you want to be a policeman, you got to take a test. If you want to be if you want to be able to drive in the street, you got to take a test. Certain minimum things. Didn't mean to denigrate policemen, of course. I'm just saying for normal, you want to be a teacher, you got to take tests. You got to keep taking tests. If you want to be anything, much less a highly trained professional, there are specific targets, skills, performance levels you got to be able to do if you're going to be a functioning professional in that arena. So let's start and let's talk about, as a leader, trainer, develop, what are some of the targets that I don't think they have to be as, like even on a test, if you take, what we want to give them is a range of things to get into, performance levels, and it's just like in anything, if you want to be an attorney, you have to take the bar exam. But you don't have to score 100 on the bar exam. You want a driver's license, you don't have to get 100 on your driver's license. But you have to get in the ballpark. You have to get in the range. And you have things for them to shoot for. And these are things, so to me, I used to talk to people about targets in terms of 5 areas. First of all, I wanted them to be able to do the business. We're in financial services. We're, of course, Primerica. But it's the same as if you're running a retail store, you're running a restaurant, running a McDonald's or whatever. If you want to expand, you got to train managers, and the time to train them is while they're working as assistants inside your own store. So you have to give them things. You want them to be able to do the business. The core competencies have got to be in place. They have to know answers to questions that the people they train are going to be asking them. They've got to know how the business works, and they have to do these things, Joey, and they have to know processes. What are the steps? They have to know that you go through to be successful in the business, either to make the sale or to, sell the clothes. If it's retail, to have the clothes there, or to go out and meet people and do it, or if it's service business, how to service the thing, how to make, if you're going to a restaurant, how you can make the food. They got to know the processes. They have to know the presentations. And the presentation is not only presenting it, but how you do it, what you do it. And then you've got to be able to overcome objections. The obstacles in the presentations, you got to be able to overcome the objections. These are just all basic, simple stuff, things that they learn. It's like reading, writing, and arithmetic. You've got to have, these are like ABCs. Each of these things has their ABCs, but you've got to have your core competencies and do the business. Then I used to talk to people. Do you have anything to add on that, Joey? That's pretty obvious. But I think we need to talk to people. You don't have to be the greatest salesman God ever put on the planet. You don't have to be the Mozart, the Michael Jordan of sales. But, hey, you got to be able to score a bucket if you want to play basketball. You've got to be able to dribble. You've got to be able for us to pass you the ball and you don't break a leg trying to grab it. So we have to shut the game down and haul your spastic butt to the hospital and then go visit you. You got to be able to handle yourself in this arena. Any other comment on that, Joe?
No, I think that's key. Presentation, how to close, how to get a recruit started, objections, those are the basic fundamentals. And like you said, they don't have to be the best salesman.
Yeah. So you got to have an idea of the process, presentations, those kind of things. Then you've got to be able to do it you've got to be able to do the activity on these things. It's not good enough just to be able to do these things in incredible slow motion. You got to be able to do this kind of activity at speed. Like if someone goes into a restaurant, they order a meal, you got to be able to put that stuff together and get it out to them before they get frustrated waiting for you, wind up leaving the restaurant, say, I got to go somewhere else. I'm starving up here. It's been 2 hours. So you got to be able to do it at sufficient speed levels, and you've got to have certain, because at the high levels of performance, when you get with, if you can have superstar leaders, they can do these things. They've got this stuff down. They really have to think about it. They've done it so many times. It's like when I started playing the banjo, first lesson the guy said to me, hey, you got to learn how to play this thing where you're not thinking about it. Because in the banjo, you ain't thinking. You're playing. You're going like a warp speed. And that's pretty much the way it is at the high level in anything. And you've got to be able to do this with quality. In our business, we call it persistency. In other words, if you do something, it sticks. If you sell something, they keep it. If it was in the restaurant business, if you deliver the meal to the table and they take a bite, they don't throw a temper tantrum and send it back to the kitchen, or worse, get salmonella poisoning and go to the hospital. You got to have good persistency. You can't pretend. You say, oh, I got to do speed. So in terms of speed, you have a terrible quality. And you slop it up, and you kind of here it is. No, that's not it. That's a joke. You got to be able to do it with this, because you got to be able to do this thing with a smile on your face. Because people want to do business with people that are confident, that feel good, that project confidence. So you got to be able to project confidence. And really, why don't we put this? Really, confidence is one of the big things. Confidence in all of these areas, if you're not confident in your ability to do all of these things at a confident level, where you have good body language, let's say great body language, people can tell you trust yourself to do this. You're not intimidated. You have no worries about handling these things. Well, that allows them to trust you, builds trust. And so that's what you want to do. You want to be able to do the business. You want to know that you can do the business. You want to do it at a high level, which means speed and quality and persistency. And you want to do that at a level where you've got confidence to do that. And so I would say, first of all, those were two things that I would think about. Let's break right here, and then we'll pick it up on the next tape.